Hey guys, Joe Bonamassa here. Sit back and enjoy the two sisters that are Larkin Poe on this episode of KTBA's Artist Spotlight.
This cruise, I guess this is our third time aboard, and every year I'm amazed at the talent that is aboard. And I think it's really admirable that Joe bothers to have his Ignite Artists series, because you're exposed to these younger bands that are doing really cool things. And to me, that is what it's all about. It's not letting the genre itself, not letting blues stagnate in any direction. And I think that Joe does a great job of keeping the doors open for all types of influence into the music. I mean, having us on board, we're definitely pushing some boundaries in terms of pop song structure in the blues, introducing, different elements of music, and we've been so warmly embraced. And I think that there's something really beautiful and profound in that all the people on this boat, they love and respect the blues, and they want to cherish the traditions and pay homage to the people who have come before, who make it possible for all of us to now enjoy and continue to grow with the music. I still talk to myself like a beginner. It's hard to be bad at things. Nothing in our ego enjoys being bad at something, and you don't want people to see you being bad at something. But honestly, it is okay. Like, put yourself in situations as a player where you're uncomfortable. Be the worst player in the group. Look at everyone else around you. Feed off of their energy. Watch what they're doing. Just relax into the process of learning, and don't be afraid to go out on limbs and to be creative with people. Just don't be afraid of that. That's what I tell myself every day still.
Yeah, it's a beautiful philosophy.
Aww.
And you?
I think that everyone is born with a unique voice and a unique voice on their instrument. And I would say relax into your uniqueness and don't try and be something that you're not.
Right.
For me, I've so enjoyed in the past couple of years finding out who I am as an instrumentalist and really relaxing into that. And I've found that I'm so much happier when I'm just being me and not trying to be something that I'm not. We tour so much that being out on the road is great practice. When we're not on the road, her and I do these great cover videos where we pick an awesome song from our childhood. Or a traditional blues number, and we work it up together, and we record a video of just us in our bedroom and release it. And those to me are great practice
They're
tools.
really good practice
It's
tools.
like practice with a point, an end point.
Are you looking for feedback from viewers? when you
No,
release it?
No, for us,
Interestingly, no.
It's just getting to the point where you're able to perform a song comfortably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find it helps our songwriting and also our musicianship, because we take a song like there's something where we'll learn it directly, like Little Martha by the Allman Brothers. Learning that is a very technical thing, because you're learning their parts exactly.
There's a lot happening.
But a lot of songs, we'll do like a traditional blues tune and try to rearrange it so that it sounds like us. And that in and of itself is a really good practice, like routine to remember who you are and how to make it sound like us and try to cover all the bases between just the two. Probably 2007 or 8, I don't know. We were early 20s. And it was actually, looking back, a very humorous time. I think now that there's time, you can look back and see it as a little humorous. But as sisters, we are, and she's my big sister. She's like the most important
By a year,
purple.
right?
Yeah, a year and change. Yeah.
It's true, by change. She sort of hangs the sun and the moon in my universe. And so whenever it came time for us to really differentiate and to become individuals, that was really the most traumatic time for us, because we share everything. It was, us like two pieces of paper together, and realizing, oh wow, we're actually very different people. We share different interests. We're going to love different people. We're going to have our own separate families. Share that, but also separate is just as strong. And so I just really had to get my head straight, Get my heart broken a couple of times, and here we are. And yeah, Megan's now, you've been married for how long?
Coming up in 4 years.
And
Really?
to an amazing guitar player, and I'm
yeah.
also engaged, so we're just spreading the Larkin Poe love around.
Yeah. Now are you both in Nashville?
We are.
How do you like that?
I like it a lot. We've been living there about 3 years now, I guess. And there's so much music.
Yeah.
I mean, you can spit and hit an amazing guitar player.
Yeah.
Guitar has been, I mean, the lap steel for me has been everything. I mean, it's taken me all across the world. It's brought me closer to my sister. You know, it's provided basically the framework for my life.
Yeah. You, Rebecca?
I would say something of a similar note. I think, especially in today's world, where we live in the instant. We live with Twitter, and you can refresh. You're with Instagram and Facebook. Everything is pulling your attention constantly. And sometimes it's difficult to find the things in your life that will put you into more of a slower focus.
Larkin Poe's our great-great-great-great-grandfather.
Okay.
His name was Larkin Poe, and we kind of wanted to take a name that had some family significance since we are sisters.
That's a pretty name.
Yeah,
I like that
isn't
name.
it?
And he was a cousin of Edgar Allan Poe, the writer.
Yeah. Now, do you use any of Edgar's poems or
Not
his
as of yet.
writings?
But it's a great idea. We've been inspired to. I would say there's a definite trickle-down effect. I think in just the Southern Gothic approach to lyrics that we try to take.
Okay.
I mean, we grew up reading his stuff. It was the
Yeah.
scariest stuff that we could pull out of our parents' bookshelves as kids. So we loved it.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
Yeah.
So you were born in Atlanta, and then raised outside of Atlanta.
Raised in Calhoun, Georgia.
Calhoun. Okay.
A little bit north of
Right in
Atlanta.
metropolis of.
Okay. Now, a lot of acres in the woods, more
Yeah.
or less. Yeah. Raising cows and pigs and.
Yeah, there was wild horses on the land
Oh.
and cattle and lots of deer and turkeys, and our parents, they're big do-it-yourselfers, and so we come by it naturally.
Yeah.
And they built the house, and we got to be on a building site. So Meg and I are just building things, running around with our
Tomboys.
lived in
Country
coveralls.
girls.
Our poor
Really?
mother, she would try to do our hair, and we would have none of it.
So you are real tomboys. I mean,
We are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Little
So,
John Wayne's.
so how did you come about playing guitars and lap pedal steel and so forth?
We started out on classical violin and piano, actually.
You're kidding.
There's 4 of us kids, but the 3 sisters, it's Megan and I and our eldest sister, Jess. And our mother and father enrolled us all 3 in classical lessons when we were real small. I was 3 and you would have been about 4. So we played violin and piano into our early teens and did symphonies and orchestras and quartets and would play at weddings and would do the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so in our early teens, some family friends took us to a bluegrass festival, and that was, I think, the real musical genesis for us.
Yeah.
And that's when Megan sort of organically gravitated towards the slide, the dobro, and I picked up mandolin and banjo.
Really?
Yeah.
So you play that as well?
Yeah.
And you did all bluegrass at the time?
I mean,
Like Doc Watson type?
oh yeah, we
we
got
opened
to
for
open
Doc
for
Watson.
Doc.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Oh,
loved
gosh,
him.
yeah. That's great.
But yeah, I mean, all American string band, no drums, no amps, no electrified instruments,
right,
very
right.
traditional.
The true deal,
Yeah.
the real deal. Yeah. So then how did the guitar get placed in your hands?
Well, when we started Larkin Poe, I mean, because we had toured as the Level Sisters, that was our band with our big sister. We would just sort of go around and do festivals. And I was definitely the drummer of the band on the mandolin. That's like the bluegrass drummer. I got to provide the rhythm. But whenever we decided to transition into a more rock approach, a more blues rock approach, I transitioned over to guitar since the mandolin was kind of getting stepped on with the drums. And one thing that we found was the dobro and the mandolin, they didn't play as well when we were trying to play bigger, louder stages as well, that we were struggling with feedback and stuff.
Okay.
So they'll make appearances, but that's when I picked up guitar. I guess I was probably about 17 or 18 when I actually got my first electric guitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is considered late in life. Although Frank
I
Zappa
know, it's true.
started at 18 and Wes Montgomery at 18.
Yeah.
So yeah, much later.
Yeah.
But you had that musical background. How did making the transition from mandolin to guitar work? I mean, did you pick it up much easier?
No, I would say it's taken me a lot longer because when I first picked up a guitar, I didn't have necessarily the focus of wanting to be a lead player as much. I just used it as a writing tool.
Okay.
So for a long time, I just sort of dormantly would just play G, C, and D. And it's not until the last couple of years that I've really tried to focus. And I'll tell you, having a B string in the mix really throws somebody who has, I think so strongly in fifths, going from violin to mandolin.
Yeah, right.
That it
Everything's in
really,
fourths, right?
it's been such a funny stumbling block. And I guess my brain is older now. It's not as plastic. So,
Yeah, right.
you know,
And
it's just
and
a
if you-
real uphill struggle.
If you throw a B bender into it in the back, then
Oh
you're
my
really
gosh.
in trouble. Oh my
I know,
God.
right?
Yeah, I know. So, Megan, when did you pick this up?
I was in my early teens when I picked this up, and
Okay. And this is your first? I mean, besides?
Besides violin
Yeah.
and piano, I moved directly to this. I tried to play mandolin, I tried to play banjo and guitar, and I guess me and fretted instruments don't go very well together. Because I saw a dobro being played for the first time, and I was just blown away.
Yeah.
And I knew immediately that was what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I picked up dobro first, and then later on picked up the lap steel. And I tune it the same as a dobro. Kind of just makes sense.
And how is that tuned?
It's DBG,
Okay.
open
DBG.
G.
Okay, so D, B, G? Or are we
DBG.
going the other way?
Yeah.
Okay.
From highest to lowest,
Okay.
DBG, DBG.
Really? So it just repeats itself, but an
Yeah.
octave.
In octaves.
Yeah. Okay.
So
okay.
she's very major. Like if she's playing a third, like a chord with a third in it, she's always major. So that's like such an interesting
you would be.
thing for
Yeah,
you to
I
work
never thought of
around.
that. Yeah,
I
yeah.
tend to play very modally, so I kind of leave the third out.
Oh,
a
you
lot
do?
of the time.
Right now, I use TrueFire a lot, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure if you're
Brad-
aware of that.
yeah, I know Brad, the owner.
I,
Yeah.
I think that that's such a resource, especially for me on the road. Trying to find private time is sometimes difficult, but I feel like the ability to use little iRigs and things like that to sort of quietly sit and practice, because I tenaciously want to be a better guitar player. But oftentimes in our set, the singing for me, since I'm the lead singer and the lead songwriter, that oftentimes takes precedence over my own musicianship on my instrument, which sometimes is a little frustrating to me. Like I feel like I stifle myself because I
Yeah.
get so in my head with, oh, I need to like say something witty to the crowd, and then feeling overwhelmed, and then I'll like
it's
screw
too
up my
much.
guitar parts, and I'm like, no.
Well, you have
But,
a great feel.
well,
And I
thanks.
think that's the basis of everything.
Absolutely,
You've gotta
I
have-
agree.
And all the guests have had one common thread. They've all talked about vibrato.
Oh yeah.
Of course, you naturally have that. I mean, come on, you know. But what do you do for your vibrato?
Very limited, I find.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. Oftentimes what comes out just comes out.
Yeah.
Sometimes for me with my playing, there isn't a whole lot of intention. Like I'll just sort of go for
so
stuff.
it's real improvised.
Yeah, a lot of times.
Yeah.
There are riffs in our songs that we've written that we'll do to honor the record and the recording. But sometimes that bites me in the ass as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, well,
yeah.
I'll go for something and it
Right,
really,
and you hit the wrong
it
thing,
really
and
doesn't
it's
go.
really- yeah, really
but then
doesn't.
it's just a millisecond, and so I try not to be too afraid
Right.
of just going for it.
Well, Miles Davis always said, if you hit the wrong note, hit it again.
And then it's intentional,
And it's
exactly,
intentional, right?
right?
You know it. Yeah. So play a little bit for me on the guitar and
Yeah.
demonstrate, like, you know, your typical. Are you using scales? Are you thinking in that regard?
Probably more scales than anything else. A lot of blues scales. But I will be real with you. At this point in my life, I'm not the guitar player that I will be.
Oh yeah.
And I've
You've got a
accepted
long
that.
journey.
I do.
No. Are you saying that you will be really great someday, and you're on that journey? That's how I
Absolutely.
inter-
Yeah.
that's how I took it.
So very, like, I
There
do
you go.
think very much in
Yeah. No.
little
but-
shapes and things.
Right, but that feel, I mean,
Oh, well,
that
thank
overrides
you.
everything. It really
That's
does.
very kind of
I
you.
think we all think in shapes.
Yeah,
How
absolutely.
can you get around that? You have to. You know, the guitar is so difficult. So unless you hear everything, which most people don't, I mean, you may be, you've got to look at shapes.
Ah.
And that's got to be your guide, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes we all have these visions of like what it romantically means to play music, and so often you see, like an Eric Gales on this ship. Dude is not looking at his hands; he is playing completely
From
from
his
his
heart,
heart
yeah.
down. But I think it's okay sometimes to realize that we are all on different points in our journey. And if some of us need to sweat it out a little bit more and look and pay attention and focus yourself as to where you are. Because for me, especially coming from the mandolin, I dealt with this much real estate in a fret perspective. This sometimes I'll get going, I'm like, yeah, I know where I am. And then suddenly I realize I don't know where I am anymore. I'm in the wastelands of
scary,
here.
the vast wasteland.